before TV chefs took over the world and pointless game shows battled it out for the tea time viewing figures. Saturday mornings and the after-school TV was strictly for the kids. From the dulcet tones of John Craven's Newsround to the boy in the tiger t-shirt, the BBC was at the forefront of children's TV. This is the Cult Faction Podcast, episode 80, with a spotlight on the BBC.
Superman.
Hello and welcome to the Cult Faction Podcast, episode 80, where tonight we have our spotlight on the BBC and in particular kids TV. I am your host for this evening, Paul Hawkins, and as ever, I am joined by
Brett Summers
and
Damien Hicks.
That's right, we're here. We survived another week or two.
Yeah.
Have we been up to anything interesting? Well, you guys have actually been up to something interesting. I've been, going through the normal mundane work and not doing much at the weekends.
What have I done that's interesting? I've had 2 ill children for the past couple of weeks.
Well, you might have seen a band that were quite famous.
Oh, yeah. That's a distant memory now.
are quite famous.
Well,
Yeah.
they used to be a lot more famous, let's face it.
Still big. Soul Asylum. And what a cracking gig it was.
It was, actually. It was a good gig. Giggity giggy.
Is that it? Is it? No.
Well, it feels like such a long time ago.
Don't have any stories.
I've had ill kids, NHS phone lines.
Didn't you meet the band?
No, that got
No.
cancelled.
Oh, right. Oh, okay.
I don't think there was
And-
enough people interested in doing it, so it would have been a bit awkward. So
Did
they
you get your money
decided to
back?
cancel.
Well, apparently the other
Alright.
band had like 2 people and
Yeah.
still did it.
Yeah. That's what the guy... I was
I
out
think-
having a
yeah.
smoke, and that's what the guy said. They
Yeah, I
still
think
did
you
it.
told me that. But no, it was a cracking gig. I mean, the days of us having stories at gigs are many years ago
Yeah.
now.
Seeing as
There
we
wa-
both had to work the next day.
There
So.
was a bit where we were almost tempted to
Yeah.
go for a pint after it. We came home.
Oh, I thought you meant we were going to leave with 10 minutes to go just to get home.
Get that last puss.
Yeah.
No, I think
Yeah.
what was it? Just 4 pints and home, wasn't it? That was the
Yeah.
end of it. No,
Yeah,
no shots, no tequila, no
no.
nothing like that.
nothing crazy. Save that for the World Cup.
Probably a good job I didn't come along then. I'd have been the bad influence on you.
Well, yeah, you'd have got little resistance from me. It was
Yeah.
hard enough for me getting to have one drink. So
Yeah, to be fair, we'd just send him home with his bus fare, All right, so Summers, anything else other than Soul Asylum?
No, just work really.
Okay. So we are going to talk about the Beeb, obviously, because it's celebrating its 100 years anniversary of being...
in
Yeah.
existence.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just thought I'd
Didn't
help you
get
out.
left
Yeah.
from the Queen, or the King, but it's hard to do that. We're still paying for it, I guess, so it should be happy about that. And we are having our spotlight on kids TV, from what we can remember. But first of all, let's go round the virtual room and talk about some of the decent stuff.
Do we have to?
Yeah, but we're gonna keep it short and snappy.
You don't like sharing, do you?
I just don't like this bit.
Other people do. They want to know what's going
Do
on.
they though?
They do, though.
And we might have some advice for those top programs. People, have we turned into DJs? you top
We've got
pops.
the 80s DJ vibe going on.
Well,
Yeah.
I do like to do a lot for charity, mate, but I don't like to talk about it.
All right, so let's start with you, Summers, before I go on to Ebenezer over
Okay.
there.
What have I been watching? I have completed
Okay, and that's all we've got to talk about.
the first season. It's been on the list for ages, and I watched it with my lady friend, The Detectorists, and I really liked it.
Finally watched it.
Yeah,
That is
Damien,
awesome.
it's been on my list for ages, but I actually got a chance to sit and watch it, and yeah, I've only done season 1 though.
I don't know which one's this.
This is Mackenzie Crook and Toby
Toby Jones.
Toby Jones, that's it.
and Diana Rigg's daughter, which I realised halfway through
Yeah.
because she did a posh voice. I was like, I know who it is now. And the curly-haired Simon Farnaby.
Okay, and where is this watchable?
iPlayer, I believe.
Yeah, all seasons are on iPlayer. I think there's 3.
Yeah,
and
there's a couple of specials in between, so I need to work out. That's why I stopped.
I think they do them in order on iPlayer. They're good for that.
Okay. But yeah, very enjoyable, very funny, kind of a bit serious, kind of,
It's whimsical, gentle comedy with a little bit of pathos, whichever way you want to pronounce it.
I'm just so happy that you're actually speaking.
Oh, good. Well, we're talking about something I like. We're not talking about capes and
you see,
fucking
we'll get to that.
nonsense like that shit.
Right. Also,
Wakanda Forever.
Yep, seen it. That was my next one. It's like you read my mind.
Connor is desperate to see this. I had to break it to him. It's a 12A at the cinemas, so I can't take him to watch it. But when it's available for him to watch, then that would make his day.
No, it's
will it?
No, it's very good.
It's 3 hours long, isn't it?
Yeah, but it doesn't feel it. It doesn't
3 hours of that nonsense.
I admit, that kind of
that's arse-numbingly.
That put Kate off the cinema
ridiculous.
for it.
Yeah.
So I had to go on my own. And but
so everyone's a winner.
I didn't say that.
No, Kate. I meant for Kate.
Oh, she got out of it. Yeah. No. No, really good. I mean, there are some criticisms about, like, they changed that bit of the character. And
is this the one where they take to the sea?
Yeah. And
they've got a navy.
Well, it's you see, Prince Namor is introduced to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
The footballer.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's a footballer, isn't it?
But the big thing is they've made him kind of mine and change it. Because in the comics, he's from Atlantis. But obviously, Marvel, I thought, doing something clever. Aquaman's already come out and he's from Atlantis. So rather...
Atlantis,
don't you know?
This is what happens when you go near Romsey.
For those listening, no, it's not.
But especially if you're from Romsey, please rate and review us. No, but because they've already done that, Marvel we won't do that because to the general population, it looks like we're just doing a knockoff. So they've given it like a Mayan underwater name, which is all apparently if you do.
Oh right, yeah, because this is different.
Aquaman, they've got an under the sea guy from Atlantis as well now, just like DC did.
Yeah.
And so they changed it a bit, mate. I think it works. But people are like, oh no, but that's not the one in the comics. It's not always going to be.
Well, people are going to go after Peter Duffy next because he played Thingybob, didn't he? Where he was the man from Atlantis.
Yeah,
man from Atlantis.
Patrick Duffy.
What did I say?
Yeah, Peter. But that's right. But that was another one that came from what was going to be a Prince Namor TV series. And then they were like, why do we need to pay all this money for the rights? Let's just call him the man from Atlantis and do our own one.
It's fair enough.
That's basically what happened. But it's really good. I mean, it's a bit sad in places, obviously, because it does pay tribute to Chadwick Boseman and all that. And that is like a big part of the plot of people dealing with that as their characters.
Yeah.
And I imagine probably it must have been quite hard in real life because they're all, by the sounds of it, all quite close in real life from when they filmed it, whatever. But
Connor couldn't get his head round it. I had to explain to him that...
That's probably like the first one, isn't it, for him? Like, because he's only... How old is he? 5? No, how old is he now?
Maybe he should come round more.
I do when I'm 25.
This is your Uncle Brett. Who's the strange man, Daddy?
Is he the Black Panther? No.
Black Panther's dead. How many times do I have to tell you?
You didn't have to scratch
in real life, Daddy. Yes.
You didn't have to scratch his eyes out on that poster in his bedroom.
Some things you need to do.
But but I thought it was really good. Yeah, it could have been a little bit shorter maybe, but...
See, I don't mind that. I like long films if I can get into them.
But on the big screen, it really does play out well, and it's worth seeing it in that, because the big battles and things, and there's some clever little things in there, and there's a couple of little things, without giving everything away, spoiler bell, that you can see...
But you just said without giving things away.
No, but
then he asked for the spoiler bell.
I'm just being okay. But the little sprinkles in where you can see they could pick up later on. Do you know, like, if they go that way or decide to go that way? So I'm guessing they're going to see how...
You're looking at me like I'm interested. I've zoned out. I'm not paying any attention.
I'm looking around the room. It's what you do when you talk to people. Otherwise, it's rude.
Damien doesn't do that.
No, he just sits there and goes...
And
no, I talk
into
the microphone, so I don't look at either.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
Oh, Damien, he just
out
sits
of
there
10.
and goes, when are they going to
Let's cut to the
Clarence?
chase. Otherwise, he's just going to cut this bit out. So cut to the chase.
7.5.
Ooh, okay.
Could be an 8. I need to sit again though, just to.
See,
I'm
I don't.
sure.
I don't mind 3-hour films at the cinema because I get the nice seats where you can take in the alcohol. I make a day of it.
Yeah, but you leave your kid there because you forget.
Yeah.
You have a couple of alcohols,
But they're
and then off you
safe.
go. Alcohols. Ooh,
It-
have some alcohols.
Okay, cool. So moving
But
on
yeah.
before Damien moves us on. What have you been watching, Damien? Let's make it about you, then you might seem a bit interested.
No, I'm still not really, but I'll go through the motions anyway. The Watcher on Netflix.
Oh yeah,
Shit.
not as good as the idea that I had for a film called The Watcher.
Probably not.
We'll
I
see
don't
that-
want to hear about your idea.
Well, I'm not going to say it live because I haven't written it yet. Someone steal it.
It's literally just an idea. It's just a title.
It's a good thing. Actually, if I did talk about it, then it's out there.
Yeah.
Then if anyone does it, I get the rights.
No, you have to prove they
You gotta
would have
prove
heard it.
Well, with all our listeners, that could happen.
Yeah. Anyway,
it
The
didn't work
Watcher.
out. It didn't happen with my idea for watching. Bloody
The Watcher.
ITV.
Yeah.
So this is like a Netflix
Yeah.
psychological drama.
Yeah.
Is it?
Family buy their dream house, like mortgage up to the hilt to buy their dream house.
Well, that's the first mistake, kids.
Yep. Dad's a bit of an arsehole. Not like an arsehole. He's just a bit controlling. And they suddenly keep getting these letters in their mailbox. Physical mailbox, I should say now. That doesn't sound right when you say mailbox anymore, does it? Physical mailbox saying, I've been watching this house, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like creepy, stalkerish type, we know everything about you, blah, blah, blah. And then, so
They just moved in.
but it's the house. He's watching the
okay.
house.
Right,
so
right.
he's like, I guard, I watch over this house type stuff. And there's some other stuff going on with some neighbours. They're not very friendly and blah. It's all a bit, and the idea is you're trying to figure out who this Watcher is.
And why is he
even-
watching the house?
And why is he watching
What's
the
so
house?
special
Or
about
she,
the house?
Whoever. Could be.
Okay.
And then he gets a private detective. But the thing is, you never find out who's watching the house. Because it's based on a true story, and in real life,
Oh,
they never discovered who's watching the house.
I feel you may need to have rung a bell then.
ding.
We can edit it in afterwards.
Yeah, we'll figure that one out. But,
Oh, so you don't even know.
well, to be fair, it's been out about a month. So
Yeah,
if you
well,
wanted to watch it, you would have
Kate,
watched
Kate
it by
said
now.
it was rubbish.
Yeah.
No, I had it on my
It
list.
isn't, but that's the annoying thing is, actually, it's quite well done. Because there's a lot of little, it could be, it's got, yeah, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But the ending's like,
That's real
just,
life.
even
people.
if it's based on on real life,
Change it.
make the fucking thing up.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
make
Can you-
something up.
Fake news.
Yeah.
But can you imagine though that somewhere in America, some bloke watched that or whatever, and it's gone, ha, that was really
Yeah.
good. And it's got to the end, and it's like, ah,
Yeah.
it's me.
Right. So out of 10.
Might draw him out.
Performance-wise, and up until the last episode, I would give it 8.
Ooh.
But then you get the last episode and you don't find out what's
Yeah,
going
but
on.
it's based on real life.
Yeah,
You have
but
to
it's still
forgive them
annoying.
that. Right. Okay. But that's
So
good.
that takes
But
it down
that's
to
good.
7.
Imagine how annoying it was for them.
Well, they're all right now. No
Or
one
are they?
died.
Not yet.
What- But
Don't know-
always
don't know who it
wondering,
is.
is someone
It
still
might come
watching?
It
back
could
now.
be carrying on, yeah. Who
He
knows?
might come back now. Now they've made money out of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Brett had 2 to start with. Have you got another one?
Come back to me, I might have.
Ah, great.
Ooh.
Okay. So I am going to hit you guys with a couple of mentions on Christmas films because, hey, Christmas is coming.
Ah, it's a bit premature, isn't it?
No. Christmas decorations are up in a Hawkins
He
household.
always
They're
has
not.
been.
Yeah.
He always has been.
Shall
Boise.
put them up. I'm allowed to talk about Christmas now, and Christmas jingles and songs are playing everywhere.
That is true.
Yeah.
Okay, so first-
Emily's got a Christmas vibe on already.
It
to be
is
fair.
coming home for Christmas. I've seen it.
Yeah.
So Emily's all looking forward to Christmas.
Yeah,
we
I've
can
had
talk
to
about
make her a
Christmas.
YouTube Christmas playlist. It starts with
Fantastic.
Shakin' Stevens.
Oh God.
Wow.
I like Shaky though.
Lucky Emily.
Right, go on then.
Okay,
Hey,
so the
that's
first
what
one.
she was. That's the first song she asked for on her playlist. Was "Merry Christmas, Everybody,"
Oh.
and I had to go through about 3 songs before I realised what she was asking
Yeah.
for.
Yeah.
Anyway,
No,
sorry.
that's fine. Okay, so the first one, Apple TV. Obviously,
Ooh.
we all pay for Apple, so every now and again when stuff comes out.
You got to watch it.
Gotta watch it.
Screw the apple.
So Spirited with Will Ferrell and cult faction favourite Ryan Reynolds.
Of course it is.
So Will Ferrell plays.
That's why Will Ferrell was on the Wrexham programme the other day. Then, yeah. So carry on.
So Will Ferrell plays a Christmas spirit that then has to try and turn Ryan Reynolds' life around.
He's not grumpy and moody, is he?
Ryan Reynolds, yeah.
Ah,
He's big.
Sounds like a Hallmark film.
Well, it's based on Scrooge.
Or
obviously.
Christmas Movies 24.
They make reference to Scrooge and Scrooged in the film. And it's a musical.
Oh, Jesus.
Now, this is obviously not going to go down well for some people, hence
Me.
why it's important to mention this fact, as opposed to bigging up the fact that there's a new Christmas film, letting your kids stay up to watch it, finding out it's 2 hours over long, and also it's a musical, which is a shame, because if they'd have done it a bit more non-musical fashion, it might have appealed to more
but
people.
musicals are very fashionable now.
Well, yeah, and I think that's the point. It's okay in places.
Damn you, Hamilton.
Ryan Reynolds, and Will Ferrell, they did a good job at doing the roles, but Will Ferrell plays everything that you'd expect him to do, and Ryan Reynolds is the smooth, smarmy git that turns his life around, maybe because of Will Ferrell, and it is quite good, but the musical numbers are just too much. If it's one or two, for comedy's sake, fine. But it's one of those musicals.
It's a full-on musical.
But you can't do a musical with only 1-2 songs, though. It'd be boring.
No,
then it's just an episode of How I Met Your Mother.
But what I mean is, if it was a comedy festive film that was using a musical number in it, they would be different. But 6 out of 10, just because it put me in the Christmas spirit. The other Christmas film is Slumberland on Netflix.
Oh, that looks good. I've not seen it yet, though.
Well, this is Jason Momoa, Chris O'Dowd. Jason Momoa plays well, I won't give too much away in this one. He plays...
Ring
Brace
the bell,
yourself,
ring the
people.
bell, ring the bell. Spoiler bell.
He plays a character in the dream world that tries to help... Or does he? Well...
Okay.
Have you seen this? Are you sure you've seen this?
well,
Let's
no,
meet
I'm
Subtle Paul.
again, I'm
He's not going to
trying...
give us any clues.
trying not to give anything away. So,
Well, there's one.
was enough.
We've all
That was
seen the
enough.
trailers. To be
Oh,
fair,
okay, fine.
it's like constant on social
So
media and
I-
everything.
And is this for children?
it's an old school family film.
It definitely looks. It's got that
Okay.
So
80s family film look to it, as opposed to what
And
they
it's
say.
saying,
and what I
say
mean,
you had an afternoon and you happened to be in a classroom full of children and it was near Christmas.
yeah, absolutely, because it's not. It has darker moments where people, dad dies, and it goes into
He
getting.
dies? You've ruined it now.
You said I could talk about it.
No,
You just told me someone dies.
You told me I could talk about
Yeah,
it.
like in general.
It happens at the start of the fucking film.
Oh,
So,
okay.
the
Ooh.
dad dies, and this
in the
is
same
about-
way Bambi, we get
Bambi's mum.
yeah.
Who's
Right.
And this is all about her coping.
That's not. It's not a spoiler to say Bambi's mum
Yeah.
dies.
And this is
because
all about her.
Bambi's dead by now.
I would think so. Yeah.
Well, no, it's in Bambi too. This is all about how she copes with the death.
The
and
quickening.
plays into the dream world slightly. But yeah, it's good old school family film. So 3 or 4 year olds will probably find it boring. He did. The 9 and 10, 11, yeah, they probably get it. It's got a talking pig in it.
How can you not like a talking pig?
Because
I hated Babe. No, Babe didn't talk, did it?
It was voiceovers,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Can't remember now.
Yeah, but it was
Babe
voiced.
didn't.
I hated that film
It was
anyway.
voiced over though. It wasn't like. Yeah, but you were vegetarian at the time. So you didn't like any meat.
well, he ate
Yeah.
bacon.
No, where does this come from? This pisses me right off.
I'm joking. Oh
8
man.
fucking years.
Okay,
I didn't eat meat, and then some
And it-
twat says you had a bacon sandwich. I didn't. Anyway,
7 out of 10.
Were you a Tory minister? I'm
Okay.
getting muddled up.
Back to you, Summers.
Oh, what else have I been watching? I have watched.
1899.
I was going to build up to that.
Oh, I thought you were struggling to find it.
No, there was something else I watched, but that was going to be my end bit. Okay, so what else have I watched? 1899, the new Netflix phenomenon. Anyone heard of it?
yeah, I'm 2, maybe 3 episodes in.
1 episode to go.
Okay, well, I have finished.
This has been breaking the internet.
So, I would say it's very good, and to stick with it, it's from the people that made Dark, which is one of the greatest TV programs ever made.
Yeah, see, I didn't know that when I started watching it, and the dubbing was really getting on my nerves. And then I realised that's because
But not everyone's
not
dubbed.
everyone's speaking. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. I was like,
Yeah.
hang on, is something going on with the TV? Because it's got
I
like
thought the
20
same.
different sounds, sound settings. It's like, have I done something, or has one of the kids pressed a button to
Yeah.
give it some sort of lag? And then I realised, because like, you think, what's going on? And it switched to another scene where they're actually talking English.
No,
and
I thought the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what?
Is it buffering?
Yeah.
But,
Turn off your Wi-Fi on your
Yeah.
machines.
But I reckon we'll go around to Damien. At 2 episodes in, how are you finding it? Obviously,
it might
without
be 3 episodes. I think.
without giving too much away, spoiler bell, ding ding, and all that, because
Well, there's no spoiler bell because we're not giving anything away.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just in case, yeah, it was
Oh,
all-
right, yeah.
it's in case of emergency.
Yeah. So basically, if you haven't watched it and you plan to, don't listen to the next 5 minutes. So
We'll try-
Is it
we'll-
worthwhile at
we'll-
least giving
we'll
a brief
We'll try not to ruin it.
synopsis?
The year is 1899. A boat has left an awesome
is it?
city called Southampton,
yeah,
and which I thought was quite nice. We get a mention up to Southampton, and is travelling across the ocean to America, a bit like Titanic, really, at the start. And there's a whole array of people on the boat who may or may not be who they appear to really be. They may be lying about who they are. They may be on the run for different things. A bit like Lost.
Remember, he likes these short and snappy. You
Yeah.
know.
I'm just building it up.
Yeah.
And and we meet all these people and how they interact all on the boat. And go on.
I was just gonna say 3 episodes in, it is good. Yeah, I have some suspicions about what might be going on. It could just be a little bit pacier.
Yeah.
I do
That's,
find myself watching it and drifting off, and my mind starts going off somewhere else. And I'm watching something here. Get back in there. It doesn't happen. I've got a dog trying to bite my fucking feet every 5 minutes, but there we go.
Mhm.
I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to give
Yeah, you
anything.
don't want to give it away.
Or I don't want you going, ooh, yeah, if I say something that might be
No,
right or wrong.
No.
I don't want you to like.
Paul, any comments on the show that don't give anything away?
I kind of agree with Damien, and it is quite slow, and there's a lot of build-up, and I get it. It's almost put me off watching Dark because of it, actually.
Dark's good. I need to go back to it. But again, Dark is quite.
Yeah.
It's the same.
And I don't
pacing.
mind. And I don't mind it.
I would say Dark's a lot faster paced
I
compared
don't.
to that.
From my memory, and it's been about a year since I started watching it, and I haven't gone back to it.
But I'll say it in my bit in a minute. So you carry
Yeah.
on to it. Yeah.
There are twists and turns. I don't mind carrying on. Or I didn't mind getting through the slow bits to find out what happens. Got one episode left of this. I kind of already know it's not going to come to a conclusion because there's already a season 2 in the works or being given the green light, which puts me off.
No. Keep
But
going.
yeah, I don't mind it. I'm not up with all the hype going around the Twitter sphere and the Tinterweb at the moment. It's okay, and it's a bit different, and it's something that I think TV needs is something a bit different. And the performances are good, and to be fair, everything about it is good. The production's good, acting's good, and yeah, I don't mind the storyline. I'm just not completely blown away by it.
The thing you got to remember with that though is Netflix is like the Isle of Wight festival of like distributors. So as soon as something goes on there, the people that are watching it probably don't look for those sort of programs that we watch normally anyway. So we spot a lot of the
I was
tropes
just thinking
and
the
a lot
same
of the
thing.
thing.
And plus, it's a generational thing, isn't it? I mean, Lost is 20 years old from when it started. Not necessarily when it finished, but I think it started about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So, there's a whole generation. So
Yeah.
that buzz or some that
Yeah,
things
I
that are
know what you
new, and we've seen not necessarily the same. It's not the same format or the same show, but those shows that have that mystery and you've got to keep watching it.
Yeah.
We're used to that. Younger generations could be their first one of ooh.
Yeah.
Bleh.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was. Bleh. That's more like Rick Mail or something.
But yeah, it is that sort of thing to a lot of those people that Netflix it, this will be the first time even the old people are like, oh, it's on Netflix, it must be good, and they'll watch it, whatever. That's why some of those shows that are popular on Netflix get popular, because it's on Netflix, I'll watch it. And they're not, they're awful. But this one's not. It's a good show. Definitely worth sticking with. I agree on the pacing. I think it's 8 episodes. From getting to the end, it could have been done in 6, maybe. But you do, without giving anything away, you're right. We know there's a second season. They've announced that already. But there is enough
questions are answered to make it worth watching the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which you haven't got from some recent things where they haven't answered anything.
Yeah.
I mean,
you get answers that then lead to more questions.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah.
But as long as you get something answered.
That was my main thing with the people that lived in the town.
Yeah, exactly what I was thinking of, and I can't remember what it's called now. But nothing was answered in the entire.
No, it wasn't Lost. It was like one word, like Lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Oh, it doesn't matter.
It does matter, but we'll
think about it later. He likes these
I'll
bits
edit
short
it
and
in.
snappy.
I'll Google it and then we'll edit it in tomorrow.
Yeah. And but compared to Dark, I think where Dark's strength was that nearly everything was a mystery or a connection. So even if it was a slower scene, you were still. It almost gave you that because you were trying to digest what you'd just seen to link it to what else was going on. Whereas in this one, it's kind of when
it doesn't feel as complex as Dark.
Yeah, no. Well, it's not at the moment. Yeah, I would say even at the end.
Yeah, but like the first 4 episodes of Dark, you're like, I need to go back and rewatch that bit again.
But again, I would just like to draw people's attention to the fact that back maybe 10 episodes ago, we did comment that Ghost Ship was an awesome concept that someone should pick up and take on, and or was it Death Ship? Sorry,
yeah,
episode 75, and because right at the beginning, I'm not giving that's the first episode with the other tick. I was like, I've seen this before, but check it out, stick with it, you won't be disappointed.
Anything else, quick?
Okay, I'll go. I'm still plowing my way through The Servant on Apple TV.
Oh, yeah.
Again, even though they're only half an hour episodes, I'm still finding it a struggle because it's just so slow paced. Probably about midway through the 2nd season, so there's still 2 more after that. Or is it 3 seasons?
I thought it was 3.
Okay.
I could be wrong. It could be 4.
Yeah, I can't remember. So, but yeah, it's like we watch like 5 episodes or something, and then we go, I need to go away from this again because it's just so slow. But it's good. Yeah. I like it. I just can't watch too many episodes of it in a row.
Cool. So I'm going to quickly mention Mythic Quest.
Is that back?
Season 3 has just started.
Awesome. I'm like, right, you can go home now. I'll go and watch that.
Yeah, so I watched the first 2 episodes of that. It's good.
Have they all dropped or?
No, I don't think so. I think it's done the first 2 and then it's 1 a week.
No, I'll wait for a couple of weeks then, so I can watch like 4 in a night.
And the one I almost messaged you guys about the other day.
Almost, but you didn't.
Well,
to be fair, he doesn't really answer any of our messages, does he?
Yeah, he's allowed to send 4 messages a week.
It costs money. The Bastard Son and the Devil Himself on Netflix.
Ooh, the Bastard
Son. Really good.
Tell me more.
It's about witches. It's about witches and wizards.
Oh, it's not one of those wandering around a realm like Witcher.
No.
Good.
No, it's really good.
I never went back to that.
It's set in modern days, coming of age, but not one of those soppy coming of age ones where they glisten in the daylight. About a witch that's the son of like a witch.
That's the son
of a witch.
A male witch
that went bad.
Oh.
Well, they don't actually call them wizards. They call them
warlocks.
No. In the program, it's like 2 different factions. One are good witches, one are bad blood witches or whatever.
Cardassians.
Yeah, but the boy in it is the son of like one of the bad witches that killed all of a load of the good witches. Been on the run ever since. There's
That's
prophecy
the son of
about
1,000
him.
maniacs. 100
And-
Maniacs. What was it?
Yeah, 1,000 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And they basically go on a hunt to hunt down the boy and a girl. I'm not going to give anything more away about the plot, but it's really worth a watch. Something like eight episodes, lots of fighting, blood, gore.
Anyone we know?
Yeah, probably.
Is
Again,
that fair?
I like that. I like that.
It is a bit of a love story, but not a soppy one.
Okay.
It's cool. Yeah, it's got really good French character in it that just walks around smoking, basically looking for vodka.
Is there a trigger warning?
No, but no, definitely worth a go. The Bastard Son and the Devil himself.
And that's on Netflix.
It is indeed.
Okay.
Anything to finish us off with the reviews of what we've been watching, Brad?
I've got nothing to finish it off with, but I do have just one bit of news just to get in. I feel we should mention it. We lost Jason David Frank this week, the original Green Ranger from the Power Rangers at the age of 49. Cult phenomenal icon, probably the GOAT Power Ranger, the one that even if you didn't know Power Rangers, you knew who he was.
Yeah.
And
He was the favourite, wasn't he?
yeah, that was
He,
it.
he was the cool one.
He came in as the throwaway character and
Yeah.
then became like the main one who took it all. And 20 odd years later, or whatever it is, or 30 years now, he was still popping up because the public wanted him back. But yeah, tragic circumstances, and he will be missed.
It's okay not to be okay.
Yes,
And if you've been affected by anything mentioned in the podcast,
you can email us at
oldfashionedpodcast@mail.com.
スポットライト
that's right, for over 100 years, the BBC has deemed itself the pinnacle of entertainment and also empowering people with news and events with a independent paintbrush. It's given us the likes of the Olympics, first man landing on the moon, and some other notable events in history and programs that we talked about last week. But this week we're focusing on what I would say is the pinnacle of the pinnacle.
The pinnacle of the pinnacle.
Yeah, BBC might be the pinnacle of viewing, but kids' TV is the pinnacle of the BBC.
yeah.
And any show, it gives us our roots. It makes us the people that we are
It
today.
shapes us.
It does shape us. The amount of times we've been plonked down in front of the telly as kids with our virtual nanny. Yes, the TV box. And as,
Still there.
as we mentioned, for kids nowadays, there's a myriad of different channels dedicated to kids programs, and
It's not the same, Paul.
the BBC's obviously giving us a different viewing experience and allowing kids to go elsewhere.
No one wants cooking programs. They
whether
want,
that's
they want
CNN,
kids programs back on BBC One.
whether
Damn
that's
straight they
the
do.
Cartoon Network or on YouTube. which
Although
is-
to be fair, now it would just be Justin, what's his name?
Timberlake.
No,
Tumble, Mr. Tumble.
Mr. Tumble, and it would just be what's on CBeebies.
No, it wouldn't.
in the
It would
mornings.
be Rochelle and Marvin because they're
Oh,
cool.
they got a cooking thing,
Because
haven't
they're
they?
cool and they do that music quiz show that's actually really good.
That is good.
I
Yeah,
like that.
I like
And
that.
yeah, and they would be like cool and hip
Yeah,
and like someone.
but
like,
it'd be Paw Patrol, and is that CBeebies? No, that's not CBeebies, is it?
don't know.
Well, it could
I
be.
don't know.
Yeah, but-
But that's the point.
Charlie and Lola.
Kids have to go elsewhere now to get their TV programs.
The internet.
But we're talking about the heydays of children's TV.
The glory days.
where there was a
as Bruce
war.
would say.
There was a war going on for children's entertainment.
When we were kings
and
queens and whatever other royal princesses, if you feel like it.
yeah. Thanks, Brett. All inclusive.
Yes.
So again, the heydays, there was this war between the channels, and we only had a couple of them at the time that were of any cutting any mustard, the BBC and ITV. But we are focusing on those BBC programs,
we love that mustard.
and we're going to cut it. So focus on Saturday mornings, and that glorious time when you get home from school before the dad comes home and kicks you off to watch the news.
On Saturday mornings.
No, and also during the
sorry.
week.
Yeah. It's like,
So, where to begin?
Well, I mean, the pinnacle of... I'm doing the bloody pinnacle now. Jesus.
buzzwords.
Groundbreaking.
Hashtag pinnacle.
Cutting the mustard.
You got to start with going live. I mean, before it, you had Swap Shop and Saturday Superstore, but I would say going live is the
Pinnacle.
trying to think. I really couldn't think of another word. Let's just rename this podcast episode the Pinnacle.
If there was an ackle, that would be the pin of it, wouldn't it?
It would be. Gordon. Well, we just
Well, going live was amazing. Philip Schofield, Sarah Green, Gordon the Gopher, Trevor and Simon, and Peter Simon falling over things, doing Double Dare.
yeah.
Just to
and-
begin with.
Well, hold on. Yeah, hold
Does
on.
anyone
We've just
remember-
gone through a
No.
load of stuff.
But I've got to say this before it goes out of my head. The guy the kid or the teenager that phoned in going live.
Well, how'd it
When
go?
5
Maggie
stars
Thatcher.
were on.
Oh, 5-star.
And said, "Why are you so?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny.
I might edit that into this right
Yeah.
now.
Okay, Elliot, what's your question?
I'd like to ask 5-star where they're so fucking crap. They're fucking.
Thanks very much, Elliot. Nice to hear from you. I'm sure Tammy would have made a lot more sense. Let's move on to line 3. Have you got a sensible question?
Yeah, it was cool.
And if you go
So-
back and watch them now, you can try and spot Michael McIntyre in every bloody episode.
Yeah, because his
His
dad was a
mum-
producer. Or mum
No,
was
his
a
dad was
producer.
director. His mum was the floor manager.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, but it was good. And yeah, Peter Simon, who's now you can still see him performing every night on the bid up TV channels.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he learned
Selling
his
things.
craft. Yeah, but and then so you had those guys doing their thing, and then there were just all the different programs that sort of got chopped in between and put in there
Well,
for our entertainment.
it was a mix, wasn't it? So you had Phil Schofield and
Sarah Green.
Sarah Green, the main host. You'd have little sketches, but you'd also have some serious bits as well. So you had the
Like the agony aunt type Marjorie
Yeah.
Proops or something like that.
no,
Claire Rayner.
it was a guy. I just can't remember his name.
You're right, it was. Yeah.
And you also had I've forgotten her name as well. But there's a cooking.
Rusty Lee.
No,
Say that.
no.
Safe Brown? No.
no.
I can't remember her name, but there was a cooking slot on it with a woman that I used to have a crush on as a kid, and she'd try and teach Phil Schofield to cook every week and failed abysmally. And yeah, you had the agony uncle on it as well, and a host of cartoons from the Raccoons.
Yes.
Were the
Was it?
raccoons on going?
Yeah,
I would have sworn they were weren't BBC, but I'm not going to argue with you.
no, they were, weren't they?
I
Yeah,
don't know. I'm not.
no, yeah, I'm sure it was the Raccoons, and you also had Visionaries, which we talked about last
Yeah.
week.
And another one I just thought of.
Was it Thundercats or was that ITV?
Thundercats, yeah, may have been. Now, like your parents were, you are the secret force of pole position.
I never liked Pole Position.
What?
I like the theme tune. Don't get me wrong, theme tune's great, but
So I thought that was ITV as well. They're
No.
all mixed up in my.
Yeah.
No, pole position was boozy. Phil Hodgson was the agony uncle.
Ah, that's right.
But Muppet Babies.
yeah, love that.
So I always thought Muppet Babies was on before.
Yeah, that was early mornings.
Yeah,
Because going live used to start like at 9 o'clock or
yeah.
something.
The
didn't
Muppet
it?
Babies was just on before. So because I remember
Okay,
getting
then.
up and having my breakfast, watching Muppet Babies, and then get my serious pants on, as it were, for my serious viewing. I'd just stay in my pajamas, but that would get you warmed up for going live.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was good because you could phone in. It was interactive, and you were
Okay.
kind of part of the
let's-
show.
Should we do it after the count of 3? Going live's phone number. We must all still know it. I'll give you a couple of seconds.
It was almost the same as Daniel Franklin's.
There was always the same. I remember it always being the same number, whatever the show was on BBC One. I picked that up over the years.
081 811.
811.
81. Oh, wow, I
Okay,
did know it.
It wasn't the same as Daniel
I
Frankenstein.
did know it.
I thought you would both get that off the bat.
As you said it, I remembered it.
811, 818.
Yeah, because then it became Live and Kicking's phone number.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing. Going live, as I said, was the pinnacle.
It was. Yeah.
But they tried to carry it on with other
The
versions.
Jamie Theakston and Zoe Ball.
Oh, live in
Yeah.
kicking.
Yeah,
That's what I just said. Do you zone out?
yeah, he does. Yeah.
Yeah, I was reading.
And then you also had the different programs on summer, because you had the season of going live. Then you'd have some summer Saturday shows.
Yep.
There was one obscure one. It might have been later on, like Live and Kicking time as well, but that was in the summer as well. And it was weird that because they were
Planet 9.
no, it wasn't Planet 9.
Well, they were in another.
Wasn't that? I thought that was ITV.
No,
no, I'm
it
thinking
was
of
try-
Gilbert. That's not Gilbert.
That
No.
was Get Fresh.
Get Fresh. Yeah.
They were trying to take on the likes of ITV at the time. Parallel 9.
Parallel 9, that was it.
And they tried to do exactly the same.
I know, so I know why I called it Planet 9 because Rowdy Roddy Piper was a guest on there, and he spent the whole time calling it Planet 9. You could see him trying to
prompt him to get it right.
and he didn't care. He was just carrying on.
Yeah.
No, he got that in his head, and he was saying it.
They were trying to do something weird and do pretty much the same format and have guests on and all this kind of stuff. But it was set in like space or some other dimension, like
Yeah.
Doctor Who or something. And it's so weird. And so that didn't work. Then you had Live and Kicking, which lasted a few years.
Oh, that went for quite a while, but
Yeah.
I think by that point, for us, it was
It was gone.
we were probably still in bed. To be fair,
Yeah.
Getting in.
yeah, yeah. We'll get
Then
in
you
that.
had the likes of Dick and Dom on Saturday mornings.
But you know who was there the whole time, and we just didn't appreciate them?
Gordon the Gopher.
No, they started as the Chuckle Hounds maybe a bit before it. They carried on through it. Those Chuckle Brothers still got a good 30
Yeah.
odd years in around that. Maybe not on going live. Maybe Trevor and Simon were kicking them out the door, but they were still around then and still going.
Yeah.
And then
And
the
they've now entered the lexicon of
Mm.
anywhere you move furniture, guarantee
Yep.
you will go
To me.
to you.
Yep.
It just
it's either that or Pivot.
yeah.
And then good old Ant and Dec came along and Cat Dealey and blew the BBC out of the water.
Yeah.
Just can't compete
Well, the
with Cat
BBC was
Dealey.
dead at that point anyway in the water. I think it was floating. Kids were poking it with a stick. It was that. It got
The
you know,
dark and lonely water had taken over.
dark and lonely times. Right, Donald Pleasance. but I think that was what it was. That was around the time, and you can probably draw a parallel 9 with it as well. When suddenly BBC kids programs suddenly all went safe, and we don't want to resettle live TV.
Well, I don't
People
think it's just
might say
BBC. I
something.
think all children's programming went safe. But yeah, you're right, and that was a downfall. I mean, the other one after going live, I've forgotten what's it called.
Live and Kicking.
Live and Kicking couldn't recreate the kind of irreverence and anarchy
What?
that going live had, because it started to get too polished and too
Yeah.
I don't want to use the word politically correct, but it became
Overly
produced and too.
It was more like the one show for kids.
yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. What one was the 8:15 from Manchester? Was that
No, that was BBC. That was another one of the summer.
Summer ones.
Are
Yeah.
you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not-
8:15 from Manchester.
I thought
so
it was
Manchester, the
BBC.
BBC had the offices in Manchester.
I just couldn't remember where it fitted in because it was the farm did the music for it.
That's
I
right,
remember
yeah.
that.
I think it was a late going live or early live and kicking the summer period. when probably because Parallel 9 didn't work, so they replaced it with 8:15 from Manchester.
Yeah, I know it was good. A lot of famous people on it, introduced a lot of things to kids, and again had its serious points. You could phone in. They had serious phone-ins about serious things, and I think they actually did save a few kids from we got them out. I remember there was a little thing a while back with Sarah Green was on about one of the kids that had phoned in, and the advice they gave them had actually been a big, like an abuse thing and all that, and they got them out of it and all that, and I think they met them later on when they were older or something, So yeah, it did have an impact when kids TV still connected completely to its audience, and we were all part of it together.
Yeah, and they also chopped and changed with the more serious stuff to Trevor and Simon swinging their pants.
It wasn't segregated by age group.
Yes, or fashion.
Yeah,
I mean, you've got your different pop acts on there you might like or might not. But
and you had the cartoons, but as you could grow up watching it because you might have got a bit older and not interested in the cartoons anymore.
I was.
I know you two were. But, it would
What's a cartoon?
go from age 8 through to about 13, 14.
Yeah, and
then you get your pop stars on there,
Yeah.
Something for dads.
Sunita.
And she's still doing the same thing now, turning that on a TV program for 5 minutes and walking off again.
Yeah.
I know Simon Cowell. Yeah, we know.
Yeah. So, I mean, going live replaced the likes of Swap Shop and Saturday Superstore.
Saturday Superstore, was that Mike? Not Mike. Yeah, Mike Reed.
Mike
other
Reed
Mike
took
Reed.
over. He took over from Edmonds.
Yeah. So that's more our
I think-
era because I don't remember it with Evans, but I remember it with Mike
To
Reed.
be honest, I don't really remember them too much at all.
I remember I had the record when they brought the record out. I wanna be a winner, and it was Noel Evans on drums, Cheggers on guitar and singing, and Maggie Philbin on bass and backing vocals. Obviously, whether or not they were really playing, we don't know. But I remember having that and liking Cheggers, and he kind of got his own spin-off from that, Cheggers Plays Pop.
Cheggers Plays Pop.
Now that I loved.
Yeah.
That and watching some of the stuff a few years ago when it was doing like the highlights when unfortunately we lost
Chief Cheggers. Yeah.
Forever in our hearts, Keith.
But the amount of running around that guy did, and he always ended up in either
In a
ball
bottle.
pit
No, sorry.
or slime.
I was going to say on a washing machine.
Yeah. That's very niche. Not many people will probably know about that.
But it was. And what was great about it is that's probably the only time license fees have been used to pay someone in drugs. Do you want to do a show, Keith? What do I get? Here's a bag of cocaine. Let's go, kids! Run around. Oh, no, that was well, they did run around, but it was on a high budget. But, yeah. So, that had its own, that was of its own era. A little bit before our time, but we caught the end of that. And that paved the way then.
Sorry, but just with Mike, saying about Mike Reed, that Mike Reed, not the other Mike Reed.
Not Mike Reed.
Not Mike Reed. What was the quiz? They did a quiz show, didn't they? Was
Mike
it Pop
Reed's
Quiz?
Pop Quiz.
Yeah. I used to like it because that's like the precursor to Buzzcocks.
Yeah.
Only
there was a
safer.
Board, there was a board game as well.
I had the board game. That's why I remember it more than I actually remember the TV show. I think probably still do have it. Not here.
He done really well, and then started to share some of his own opinions.
Yeah.
And then
formed a
kind of
political party and did some weird
did he just
reggae song.
Like, I thought he went really like right wing.
That's what I mean.
Kind
Yeah.
of weird, and then it was,
Is that what happens to children's TV presenters as well? Because you had David Icke as well doing.
To be fair,
Wasn't he once
compared to the generation before them, they did all right.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk about
some names might be mentioned that should not be mentioned anymore.
You got to think there was now and now there's then.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I don't know where to go now because all I got in my head is heartbeat. And
we've got to go back to the television. Yeah, so so that was on the BBC. That held Saturdays together for quite a long time, and even when there was like a big event, like a royal wedding or an FA Cup final or something like that, the like going live or whatever it was at the time was sort of factored into that. So like going live would be, I don't know, one person would want one team to win and the other presenter would want the other one to win, or if it was a royal wedding, they'd have like the cutlery out and the tea and cake and all that, because that's what we do in England.
Yeah, and didn't they would do like broadcasts when it was like
from there and things like
what's that? I don't know what it's called. It's obviously not the Queen now, but
Buckingham Palace.
The where they do all that military kind of tattoo something or another.
The military tattoo.
Oh, Royal Tournament.
No.
The military tattoo.
Yeah, they did
It's
do the
something like-
Royal
yeah.
Tournament.
I know. It's,
We watched Anthea Turner get blown up live on television. Yeah, that was the Royal Tournament because I was going on a school trip there on the Monday. So on the Saturday, I watched it. And then saw Anthea Turner get blown out and thought, this is going to be awesome. It was nothing like that when I got there.
no, I'm not surprised.
And looking back now, that was actually seen as quite a tragic event. But, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll leave that there.
If you don't know what we're talking about, head over to TikTok. I'll post the video. I'm sure I can find it somewhere.
But it was actually quite scary watching that.
It was at the time. I definitely remember it.
Because it was a guy in a motorcycle jumping over something, and they put her in the wrong bit. So as he jumped over, and the fire explosion went off as he was jumping over his motorbike, she was like stood right by it and pretty much went up
Her
in
hair
flames.
went up in flames. Yeah.
She went up in flames live on kids' TV. Now they don't do things like that anymore.
No.
Probably that's the reason.
All health and safety now,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Well, they
That jeopardy's gone from life.
Yeah, but again, it was all live. You didn't know what was going to happen. Good or bad, sometimes, like we say, people phoned in and said naughty things on there live, and sometimes pop stars mimed wrong, and
Yeah.
stuff like that. You know, there was all sorts there, but it was the glue that held Saturday mornings together and integrated the young person into the adult world. Just like when you around those times, you could still go to like the pub with your family, sit there, have a Coke
Crisps
and a
and
bag
Coke.
of crisps, and it was okay. Before everyone, as we got older, and then just got rid of kids in pubs altogether.
Well, that's the other thing that the BBC did. They gave us grown-up news, but they watered it down for our little kiddie ears with Newsround.
John Craven. Still on TV now. Has anyone had a longer run on TV than John Craven?
Bill Roach.
Bill Roach?
David Attenborough.
Yeah.
Consistently?
Well, Bill Roach has been in Coronation Street since 1960 something.
Yeah, but he's
Yeah.
like a druid.
I don't know what he is, but he's been on either way.
That was my Halloween costume.
I've answered
this
your
year. I was
question.
Bill Roach. Okay. Yeah, but Craven was probably on telly then.
You said, has anyone had any longer career than John Craven?
No, I'm just saying, but I think Craven was on telly. That's what I'm saying. I think he was still doing stuff then.
Okay.
I'm just, yeah.
I don't
I don't want to
know.
argue about it.
Wow.
You asked the question.
know.
I just give you some
But
examples.
Do you know what
Along with
always-
David Attenborough.
Do you know what always freaked me out about John Craven?
He let David Attenborough go, didn't he?
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
because
you didn't
he's
get
a
the
Sir.
wrath of his
No,
defense.
It's not
No,
Sir John
no,
Craven, is it?
My point was consistently. Attenborough comes and goes. He's not been on like every day.
Well, he's a bit old now, to be fair.
No, but even in those days, he'd have his specials.
Well,
and then
what's
he'd disappear
Craven
again.
on now?
Country File.
No, he's not anymore. He's been replaced, isn't he?
No, I saw him on it
He
the
was
other
on it,
day.
like last week. I
Yeah, but he's
watched
not on
it.
every
Talking about the
week.
Children Need calendar.
He's not on every week.
I don't know.
Brett said consistent.
I don't watch programs with file in them.
I mean, if you talk about consistency, you're talking Bill Roach. He's been in Coronation
Yeah.
Street since
No, I'll give
1960
you
Yeah,
that.
Brett.
something or another.
But John Craven, when I was younger, it used to freak me out because I thought he was Mr. Spock.
Yeah, there's a hint of Spock about him.
When I was really little,
Which
I couldn't
Sounds
tell the
wrong. I
difference.
don't mean it to sound wrong. There's a hint of Spock about
Hint
him.
of Spock. If you go to cultfaction.com, you can get your Hint of Spock t-shirts.
And again, if it wasn't for John Craven, we wouldn't have Beverly Craven.
Or Wes. Promise me we'll move on.
Let's move on then.
Yeah, okay. Well, I did
You're the
with
host.
news rounds. Yeah, but I thought we were all going to chip in with stuff.
Well,
Yeah,
actually,
and
so
they-
let's go back to going live because I've just remembered, this has prompted where I get this from. But when I make a deal with Emily, so she's 3 years old, so I say, do this and I'll get you a chocolate bar or whatever. Is that a deal? Shake on it. I get to do a little shake. And that is directly from Trevor and Simon.
Oh, swinging your pants.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think what else they did as well.
Who,
Lots.
Trevor and Simon?
Yeah.
There's a pat on the back. Do you remember the pat on the back, which is really difficult to do on a podcast? But
Yeah.
the hand they would do that kind of wave of their hand and go around. Classic.
Yep.
I now want to just go over YouTube and find clips of Trevor and Simon.
I want to book them.
Yeah, we should get them to see if they do an interview.
Okay, so that's Saturday morning TV. That's early afternoon TV with the likes of Newsround. But there was a lot of afternoon TV focused specifically for children. Now, some of this was also in the 70s. If we want to talk about things like Grange Hill, Brett, you love Grange Hill.
Grange Hill is one of the backbones.
I'm just
going to
say this before I forget it, because my mind's like, and then we can go back to Grange Hill. Johnny Briggs, was that BBC?
Yeah.
Right, now you can go back to Grange Hill.
Which always confused me, because I thought it was Mike Baldwin's story of how he grew up. And because the girl in it was in Corrie as well.
She's been in all sorts, hasn't she?
Yeah, if there's a Yorkshire lass at the
Yeah.
And Brian Glover wasn't in it. What was going on?
he was busy. He was proper actor.
Yeah, he was in Hollywood by then, I
Yeah.
suppose. But yeah, Johnny Briggs never liked that.
No, I didn't like it either.
I didn't like it.
No.
It annoyed me.
You're going down a slide, so what?
Fall off.
Your trousers are half mast, Johnny. But yeah, Grange Hill, pretty much, in my opinion, the most cutting-edge British programme of all time. People wanted it banned. People said that kids don't need to learn about that stuff. People said that. I think it broke more ground and is probably, if you go back and watch the first 4 or 5 seasons now, even before Zamo, there's stuff in there like the racism stuff in it now that it covered. You wouldn't get that in a like an EastEnders or a mainstream British drama before 9 o'clock now, but we had it in a kids show.
Yep.
And it was tackled and it was shown all the different angles.
Warts and all.
Yeah, the bullies, the teachers,
The
and,
warts.
and kids reacted to it and learnt from it. And we've got to that stage now, and I've said this before, we all, or the majority of kids shows now, talk down to kids.
Yeah.
This was one that came in where they were and met them where they were, nice or not, and you had to deal with it. And I think that's what upset all the parents. And at one point, the House of Lords had a meeting on whether or not to put forward a paper to get it removed from the television. And and it was by Phil Redmond, who's gone on to other things as well. I'd say bigger and better, but I don't think they were better. But they were still just as impactful. But and that's what is missing today in kids' television. You need that show that reflects real life.
For people that don't know, you had Zamo. It was was it cocaine? I can't remember now.
Yeah. Well,
did they ever actually say what drugs it was?
I think it was heroin. They hinted at heroin, but he snorted it. So,
yeah.
But then, I suppose you can. But not what it's known for.
No.
But but even before that, you had
there's pregnancies and stuff.
Yeah, they had pregnancies. Like you actually saw school bullying, and then we got introduced to like Gripper. Who was like the school bully, and you saw him beat up other kids and take their money. It wasn't like he'd grab them and take. It was like a proper
poor old Roland.
Yeah, Roland's the larger gentleman. I guess in those days he was fat kid Roland and all that, And they said that on telly. Nowadays, like, can't say that, you'll be cancelled. And like Gripper was very racist as well. There was one episode, the clips are on YouTube. Go and have a look for yourself, because I really don't want to repeat it on here. And this was on a kids show. And then the genius moment is when they introduced Zamo Maguire. I can't remember the actor's name. Steve McDonald? No,
Sean?
I don't know.
Something McDonald. Lee McDonald.
Yeah, okay.
The other one's Coronation Street, isn't it, again? And Lee McDonald. Well, they introduced him as like the cute, fun,
lovable rogue. He was lovable rogue.
Type, all the way through from when he was like the sort of what would be like year 7 now, right through. Then when he got to like the end bit, and this was the genius of the writing, he became like the drug addict, heroin addict, and everyone was just disturbed by the fact that we'd seen this lovable character we'd grown up with suddenly go so bad and nearly die, and all these horrible things happen to him.
Even Miss McCluskey couldn't sort him out.
No, and that was the thing, and you don't get that anymore in TV or soaps. If they want to do something now, they'll introduce the new character who is the drug addict.
Yeah,
and they're the drug addict, and you don't see. Or if
you don't get that connection, because
or if you found out like one of the teachers was a bit of a paedophile, you'd already had that teacher in the series for like 2 or 3 seasons or series, and then when you find that out, it was more shocking. Whereas nowadays it's like, like for instance, I know a new EastEnders, you introduce the guy and you see him straight away looking at some young girls, and he's the dodgy one. It wasn't someone, imagine if they turned around and it was like Danny Dyer was suddenly a paedophile, or Shane Ritchie's character was suddenly a paedophile or a drug addict. It made more of an impact because it was someone you'd liked or followed.
Mm-hmm.
And the structure of it was just really good. And this was a kids show. And I
And
think
you had
that's
Danny
what-
Kendall.
Yeah, then
Yeah.
Danny Kendall, and then in the very last episode, because it got cancelled because it got watered down that much by the end, there was no teeth left in the monster. It was was it Tucker Jenkins, who was one of the original stars, Mark Fowler himself. I forgot the actor's name, but
Todd.
Todd
Todd
Carty. He was dropping his nephew off at school in the car, who had been introduced in the last series, and he dropped him off when he had the Jam playing in his car. And he's, "I'll pick you up at 3:00, mate." And he's like, "Yeah, right." And it was just kind of a little nod and stuff like that.
I might go and find that on YouTube. I like the sound of that.
Yeah, and it was and it needs to come back or in some form or other. I mean, the closest thing I would say globally to that now, of action, it was kids playing their own age.
Degrassi
Kids
Junior High.
played their own. Yeah, Degrassi Junior High, which was shown on the BBC,
Yeah.
but got taken. Well, they banned loads of the episodes because, like, again, teenage pregnancy, drugs, and all that. Then it got moved to 6:00 on BBC Two, which used to be the more older teen, arty kind of bit. And then they never ever showed any of the other series, and that's still going on because they had Degrassi, the Next Generation, that picked it up and all that. And they still, well, it's not on anymore, but HBO have bought the rights to that now, so they're going to carry that legacy on. But that's been going since about 1979. So maybe about the same sort of time actually. No, Grange Hill was about 77, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, kids shows that don't talk down to kids, meet them where they are, and just, we were spoilt from that point on because anything after that was just a bit tame. And I think that's what we're left with now, where we've got, I mean, even like Biker Grove and stuff that followed. It was it had some bits in it. I'm trying to think of some other.
Well, there was Children's Hospital on ITV, which kind of it wasn't as hard hitting in that respect, but it did deal with like serious illnesses.
Things, yeah.
And, some of the characters died because they had serious illnesses and like long-term health effects. I think that was ITV anyway. But that's the only one I can think of that kind of hit the same vein, but was nowhere near as extreme. I don't mean Grange Hill was extreme, because it wasn't. But Children's Hospital never went as far as Grange Hill ever did. It dealt with different subjects.
But like, you look at the stuff they do now for schools. You had that Ackley Bridge, which was really good, the original Cutler series on Channel 4. But
I thought it was
like,
late at night.
Yeah, but that was on at like 9, 10 o'clock. That's what I'm saying. But they were doing like what Grange Hill was doing.
Yeah.
But it's on at 10 o'clock at night because you can't have it on in the day. But we had that in Grange Hill and Waterloo Road. But again, that was after 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock. So it just goes to show, someone needs to come back now, especially shine a light on what's going on in schools at the moment from all sides of the classroom. That'd be amazing.
But I
If
think-
anyone needs a consultant.
But isn't that the thing though? They wouldn't dare show it before the watershed nowadays.
No, I don't think they would. And then I think it would be heavily. Well, you can't talk about that. You couldn't have like a couple of teachers on there debating whether or not they should have a pay rise or that the school system's broken or whatever. Which they did.
Which you did in Grange Hill, yeah, absolutely.
You got all those little bits as well, so it covered all areas. But
Cool.
that was a good. That was
I was just going to say that that's not. This is not a spotlight on Grange Hill, but it was something that needed to be said.
Yes,
So-
it did.
Okay, so we had Grange Hill not talking down the kids.
Oh, I just got one more. Sorry, just to end on Grange Hill. Sorry,
We have.
a lot of people from that. No, just to say sorry. But a lot of people from that then branched out to
The bill.
half the kids' TV shows, Spice Girls, All Saints, and whatever else that was going on. Half of those dramas.
Other drugs are
end up
available.
went in, took over the TV world
Yep.
as time went on. But yeah, carry on. Sorry.
So I was just saying. So it went from Grange Hill that didn't talk down to kids, and you've also mentioned Children's Film Foundation as well.
The boy with the tiger T-shirt. That was a good one.
Yeah,
We got a whole thing on that on
Oh,
Cult
yeah,
Faction,
no,
I think, if
yeah.
I remember rightly.
I did a thing on that. Yeah,
I'm
that
trying to
was
think.
cool.
There was another one.
There's the boy who turned yellow.
Yes, that was the one I was trying to think of.
And then there was Glitterball as well, which is the one where they find a little. It used to come out. They used to be the one they showed at Christmas because I guess it had snow in it. So it was like that'll do. And they found it was like a little alien thing.
There was an Eskimo one as well, wasn't there?
Ooh.
I'm sure there was an Eskimo boy. I think it was just called the Eskimo Boy or something. That really, but let's not Google it. Let's just leave that
let's
hanging
not
in
do
the
that,
air
do.
for listeners to ponder over.
think
But I'm
about.
sure there was definitely
But
one.
you were
And I think that had Keith Chegwin in.
yeah, he
he
started
was
on all
he was
those.
on a lot, yeah.
But you'll remember these if you were around at the time, because it'd always start with like Trafalgar Square and loads of pigeons.
That's right. Yeah, just kind of zoom in down,
and
like
then
a crane
zoom
shot.
down, and then you sort of saw what one it was, and either watched it or turned over. Because some of them, there were really good ones, and some of them were just a bit boring, and they tried to teach you something. There was a Man from Nowhere. I'm just looking at the list of.
I'm sure there was an Eskimo Boy, or
There probably was.
maybe it's not called the Eskimo Boy, but in my head it was.
Sammy's Super T-shirt.
Yeah,
That's the one,
that's
the Tiger T-shirt one.
Yeah, see, I'm pretty certain it's one of those name change things. Either that or it's the Mandela effect. It's one or the other. But I remember it being called the Boy with a Tiger T-shirt.
See, that does sound familiar to me.
Yeah, not what you've just said. Sammy's Amazing T-shirt or whatever nonsense that was.
But reading it, it's got the theme song. Sammy's Super T-shirt was written by Harry Robinson and Frank Godwin. So that would lead you to think that maybe it was a bit of the old Mandela effect.
That's a whole different podcast. Let's not go down the Mandela effect.
Because didn't it get thrown in a window and it got chemicals on it, and then if you put it on, it could run fast or something.
That's right.
wasn't it?
He's like Billy Whiz from the Beano or Dandy, whichever one it was.
You can go for the Flash.
I'm never going to go for the Flash.
No capes. But yeah, those TV films, the ones that were good. But I
Yeah.
remember some of them being a bit, oh, this isn't a fun one. Or I was
Okay,
just
well, we're
hoping-
having to resort to Google for this, so let's move on, because
Yeah.
there's nothing worse than...
Well, they're the only ones I really remember. I remember Glitterball, the Tiger T-shirt, and the Boy Who Turned Yellow.
I'm sure there was an Eskimo Boy as well, and I'm going to look that up when we're done. And if there is, I'm going to make a TikTok video of it.
Fair enough. What else we got, Paul?
Well, you got the list in front of you.
You're the host. I'm giving you the props, man.
But I
You're
can tell
giving
you,
you your time in the sun.
tell you to stop talking, you don't.
So,
So,
Oh, and
what?
nothing.
I get my ball. So, do we want to talk about some of the other entertainment that kids had outside of Grange Hill? Let's bring it back to some more fun stuff, shall we? So we mentioned Cheggers Plays Pop, but we also had the Champions, the more grown-up version of that, i.e. they won't run around the ball pit. They were doing proper PE, basically.
yeah.
Yeah, it just promoted PE.
It did, yeah. Up until the end, where they could all jump into the pool,
Oh yeah.
which a teacher in the school wouldn't let you do. You know, too many kids jumping into a pool. That was undone. We also had Junior Kickstart. So this was obviously the junior version of Kickstart, but it was a lot more fun because this was kids doing it.
What was, for those that know, what was Kickstart, Paul?
So basically motocross bikes doing loads of different an assault course basically for motocross bikes. But it was brilliant because there was always the jeopardy of like someone falling off of like this 8-foot high beam,
Yeah.
or unable to get up a hill, and yeah, the fact that they were kids as well was you were kind of half tempted to be in awe of them because they were really good, but half wanting them to fall off and hurt themselves because they were doing something that you
couldn't do. Yeah.
Because not everyone can afford a motocross bike. And
Exactly. Especially a kid to have one of those little mini motocross bikes was a thing. And if you head over to TikTok and look for Cult Faction, you'll see a video of Junior Kickstart where a kid does actually fall off the beam, followed by 2 St John's ambulance men trying to rescue him and falling down the pit as well.
I remember that. Oh, poor dude.
we also had, and this was on before, obviously we got that period of time before the news. So we had Record Breakers
Roy Castle.
and
And
Norris McWhirter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who?
Norris McGuirter.
He was the one. He was the adjudicator. He
Yeah.
was the man from the Guinness
Oh, the
World
old bloke in the
Records.
suit.
Yeah, he was there to verify the
The results.
It was a valid
And Cheryl
attempt.
Baker later on. There was a dark-haired woman before that, but I can't remember her name. Then it was Cheryl Baker.
Yeah,
Yeah, so every week you'd have some people coming on trying to break a world record. And yes, while you thought they might have done it, it wasn't until Norris McGuirter said,
yep.
that's good.
That's official.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, but that was brilliant. And even Roy Castle got a few of them, didn't he?
Yeah,
Over the spate of the years.
Yeah, because I think
he must
at
have
least
had a
one
fair
a
few.
season he would do it. He would do one himself at
Yeah.
least once.
And there's
not
always something where he'd have to tap dance for a long
Yeah,
amount of
yeah.
time or play a trumpet.
play a trumpet. Yeah,
Britain's answer to Dick Van Dyke.
and then when he passed over, it went over to Chris Akabusi, if I remember rightly.
Awooga!
Awooga! I'm sure he took over.
Yeah. And it's not on anymore, is it?
No.
Yeah. Poor Chris.
To be fair, it was just a season worth of adverts for the Guinness Book of World Records to
Yeah.
Christmas annual that you could buy every year.
And then
Still
along came
can.
Yeah,
then along came the internet.
yeah.
You don't really need that anymore, do you? Okay, so did we want to talk about some cartoons? We've talked about some of the early ones on Saturday morning TV.
This is where I get really phasey because I don't remember what was on ITV and what was on
That's it.
BBC.
We can correct you.
Thank you. Stop It and Tidy Up. That was on BBC
Terry
because it
Wogan.
was Terry Wogan doing the voice, and he wouldn't have
He's
defected.
not selling out.
He doesn't sell. He never sold out.
Stop it and tidy up. Yeah,
That was.
blimey.
Again, I mean, we're talking probably about 14, 15 when that came out, but I still loved it.
Anything Wogan you'd watch.
This is true.
Yeah, I'm struggling to think of what is BBC and what's ITV
Yeah.
now.
Defenders of the Earth. That was on BBC because I'm sure that was on Going Live.
Yeah,
Of
it
a
was.
Saturday
And
morning.
also, although
Defenders of the Earth.
it had already been on Sky under its proper name, it was the BBC that introduced us to the Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles.
Yep.
Was it really?
Yeah, because you can't say ninja.
No, I know, but I thought that was ITV.
No, that was on. Definitely, I'm pretty certain that was BBC.
Cool. Yeah. Okay.
Well, you can't blame BBC. They didn't purposely change it. Because there was a whole thing around at the time
Yeah,
about
you
Yeah.
couldn't say ninja, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it had to be. And they did introduce, but they were way after us, they introduced the world to Pokemon as well.
good for them.
Or introduced, yeah, but they picked a hit. But back then as well, yeah, Defenders of the Earth, Pole Position, which Damien didn't like.
No, I didn't like that.
Ulysses 31. Ulysses.
Yeah.
And then you had Mysterious
No one
Cities
else
of
can do
Gold.
the things do.
D'Artagnan.
Are they all
Musket
BBC?
Hound.
See,
These are all BBC.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Because again, I thought they were ITV
Mm.
as well.
Broom Cupboard.
Good old
Yeah.
Beep.
the broom cupboard. We haven't even mentioned the broom cupboard.
Oh.
How could we not mention them? We've done all this thing on Philip Q Jumper Schofield, but we've not mentioned the broom cupboard.
Which he did start.
Yeah, literally in a broom cupboard.
Yeah.
What
Well,
was it?
not
It was,
quite, but
it was Schofield, Andy Crane,
Andy
Andy
Peters.
Peters, and then that dude that ended up doing the sport on Meridian. I can't think of his name now. He was like he was on like Live and Kicking and all that. Then he ended up on like Meridian News, and he was like the sports.
well, he
commentator.
was a weatherman, wasn't he?
No, he did sports and stuff.
Simon.
No, Toby.
Toby Bins. No, Toby Anstead. Toby Binstead.
Shout out there, Toby Vinstead.
Yeah, Toby Anstead.
Yeah, I think it was him.
No, it's not him. He didn't go on to be.
I thought he did do something in sport.
He might have done, but not what you're talking about, which is. I know who you mean.
Yeah, Toby Anstead.
No, Toby Amstead is a name in himself, if you see what I mean. He still does stuff
Yeah, he still does. He does
as a
like Wimbledon
presenter,
and
but
that
not
now.
not. Yeah, but that's not what
Oh, what's he saying?
you're talking about. Regional. He did regional news, which he did the weather.
I
on
thought he did the
regional news.
weather, yeah.
Yeah, but not. It's not
Maybe
Toby Amstead.
Toby something. I'm sure it was.
It's not.
Gingerhead
Yeah,
fella.
yeah. His
Yeah.
name's. That's your Toby.
Anyway, doesn't
Toby Anstis.
That's
And
the fella.
I was
it's not
close.
him. Yeah, but it's not
Jeez.
him.
Yeah, it is.
It's not.
Yes, it is.
God.
I've got a picture of him right here.
Doesn't matter.
It does to me.
Oh man.
Toby Anstis.
See, when I
There's
say
a guy
to
with a
move
bit
on,
of a lisp.
when
It's
I
Tony
when I
Anstis.
say to move on, no one does. You tell me to own the show and present the show and tell you guys to stop, and then you ignore me.
Well, these are important things.
You're
It's not even
both,
coming up on my search. What's
you're
his
both
name?
just looking at Google.
Toby Anstis.
Yeah, it's not who you're thinking of.
This is not the presenter you're thinking of.
Telling you now. Yep, not him.
Okay, so the broom cupboard, for basically those listeners that aren't aware,
He does Hart and stuff.
was a kid's version of a voiceover man. But instead of just listening to a voice introducing the next thing coming up, you'd have a person in literally a box, in a shoe box,
Like a corner of a studio, wasn't
Yeah.
it, really, basically?
just sat there presenting. And it was sometimes the funniest bit of the day. You two are both staring at your screens.
I'm not staring at a screen.
You are staring at your
I'm
screen.
staring at
I'm
a
not. I'm
keyboard.
joining in the conversation with you right now.
You're not. You're Googling.
I just said it was like a corner of a studio, and you repeated it.
Yeah, I
So-
know, but I can still see you Googling. And you're the one, Damien, that doesn't like it when he does this.
Yeah, well, it's because I'm determined to prove to you that it's not Toby Anstis, because it's a different person altogether. Yeah, Simon Parkin.
Simon Parkin,
That's who you're talking about. See, and just for the record, that is not what I've got on my screen here. It's just come to my head.
Just close down the tab.
No, I haven't.
Simon Parkin with the
Yeah.
ginger hair.
That's the fella. He did Meridian Weather.
Yeah, he did.
I know. That's just, yeah. Anyway, right. So
He started in a broom cupboard.
He did.
he did. And Andy Crane does the shopping channel every now and again.
Really?
Is it
Yeah.
Really?
I'd watch that.
Well,
it-
I say that. I mean, I might be going back 10 years or so now. No, what my memory. He does pop up on the odd Channel 5, those talking head documentary things where they say the worst things that can happen on live TV, and then you'll see Andy Crane.
I wouldn't mind doing drunk histories. That looks a bit of a laugh.
What's that? I don't know what that is.
Basically, they get... Isn't it drunk histories? Something like that?
Yeah, they just apparently they're drunk anyway.
They give, like, celebs load of alcohol and they have to recount moments in history.
Cool.
Sounds like a good
Sounds
gig.
like fun.
Yeah.
We could do that for a podcast.
I'm really
Well,
fucking tempted
Didn't we
to.
do that last year?
Well, our Christmas special is coming up soon. Okay, so let's move on. There are a lot of things on this list that make me think, are they actually BBC? Because
No,
I thought
this list is genuinely. I checked this list.
Adventure Game.
Yep.
Yeah, that was BBC Two.
In my head, that was
Wasn't it Maggie?
Philbin.
Yeah.
No, it was
No?
Maurice Stewart.
Moira Stewart. Where did I get Maggie Philbin from?
Swap Shop.
Shop. Yes, you're right.
Did you swap her? Yeah, because it was when they went to the planet, and it was because the first episode had Teabag on it. I've
Yeah.
forgotten her real name, but she's
No, I
about
don't know her real
19
name.
then. Who's now in Emmerdale. And yeah, that was. I used to really like that.
I liked
And
it, but it
when-
also scared me at the same
Yeah,
time.
but when the BBC Store came out years ago, and you could like buy programs on it, I bought that and I watched it. It was really boring.
Right, yeah, I remember it all being boring up until the last bit where they're being hunted down on that little thing. and
Got
they have
that
to-
grid thing, and they go into the
cross
vortex.
it,
or
yeah.
Yeah, the
whatever they just
vortex.
got- Yeah.
Yeah, no. Oh, and then they got chucked into space or disintegrated or whatever it was.
That's right.
Was I suppose it was a precursor to Nightmare, but we can't talk about that because that was ITV.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's a cross between that and a not very good Crystal Maze, I guess.
Oh, Beat the Teacher, was that on IT? Was that
That
BBC?
was BBC.
I used to like
Beat
that.
her, beat that teacher. Yeah, no, that was a good one. I enjoyed that. I remember that. And then they, Gary Wilmot was the host. So You Want to Be Top, and it was
No,
like the
don't remember
schools.
that.
It was the schools.
Remember
quiz
Gary
show.
Wilmot?
It was the school's quiz show, and he sang the theme tune as well. And he
He
had
made
the
a
two
singing
schools.
career.
So
Yeah.
you want to be T-O-P, you got to make it B-I-G. You got to be an F-L-O-P. So you want to be top. So you want to be top. Everyone had a sort of East End accent. They say. That's the first time I've even remembered that song in those years.
I'm impressed.
It's a blessing, it's a curse. Yeah, that was like a school, but there were never any schools that we knew.
No.
You'd always watch it and it was like, since so-and-so's from East London
Yeah.
against so-and-so's from West London.
Yeah.
Or they're all from Manchester.
Yeah.
It was like, why don't you,
Yeah,
bastards?
basically wherever they had a
Oh,
studio.
why don't you?
Oh yeah, why don't you?
Why don't you just switch
That's the
off your
weirdest
television set
concept
to
for a
go out
TV
and do
show ever.
Something less
Yeah.
boring instead.
Yeah, and
A TV
introduce,
show that tells you
Home,
not to watch
the
television.
TV, turn it off. it's so
introduce
good to
Ant
me.
McPartland to the world.
Did it really?
Yeah, that was what he started on.
Well, because it was Northern.
Yeah, basically.
Well, it was. It always used to wind me up because it was always hosted by Northern people.
And then it was loads of
down
Irish
south.
people to prove that Irish people were nice. That was literally what they did it. 'Cause
Yeah.
It was all the IRA stuff. No, like, quick, get all the Irish kids on, or Northern Irish, whichever ones. Look, everyone's normal and they're all nice. Look, they're
Yeah.
okay. Thumbs up, and all that.
I never really took to that one. I didn't like it.
No, they try to get us to learn. It's like
Yeah.
anything Johnny Ball did. Fuck off.
I like Johnny Ball, but you're right. I agree with you on that. I don't watch television to be
I could
educated.
tolerate Jackanory. I could
So
tolerate
there was some
Jackanory.
good because you had like Rick Mail.
Well, the two I
George's
always
Marvellous
remember
Medicine.
is Rick Mouse, George's Marvellous Medicine, and Tom Baker did the Iron Man, Ted Hughes.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can still see that.
And I remember
Vision in my
other
head.
ones that I did watch, but they're the ones I can remember by name still
And
after many, many, many years.
Rick Mail's one is
Brilliant.
like a tour de
Yeah.
force of how to tell a kid's story,
Mm.
particularly a Roald Dahl story. It's just brilliant. In fact, I need to write down all this stuff that
I was
I'm
going
going
to
to
say,
look on
I've been
YouTube to
tempted
watch.
to-
'Cause
yeah.
Well,
I
I
could
still
sit
think
there and watch that again.
Rick Mouse, George's Marvellous Medicine was almost the precursor to Drop Dead Fred, I think.
Quite possibly, yeah.
This
Yeah.
is kind of all that sort of
Yeah.
mucking around. You sort of see the off-the-cuffness and the freedom he was given to do
Mm.
it. But basically, yeah, if you don't know, Jackanory was basically, they got someone in who was usually a celebrity, and sometimes it was one you knew.
Well, yeah. I mean, they
At
do
the
it. They do
time-
it now on CB.
Yeah.
So not
Yeah.
Jackanory. They do bedtime
Oh,
stories.
yeah. And they would go through, like, for a week, it would be like the whole book or,
Yeah.
a version of the book, because they'd probably trim it down, but you
bird.
don't know. And they would just read it to you. And, yeah, sometimes when it was someone like, because at the time you recognised Rick Mail from like the young ones, so you knew who he was. And other times they would tell you they were famous people, but you were a kid, you didn't know who they were.
Yep.
It was like some guy who was like a politician or a newsreader or something. You didn't care. And then Doctor
You
Who
just
did
wanted to hear
it,
it.
and it was like, whoa, it's Tom Baker.
Yeah. I wouldn't have known who Tom Baker was at the time.
That's the
No,
only
not
ones I
dissing you,
remember.
I'm just
Oh, no,
saying.
I'm saying- but I don't because I was scared of Doctor Who then, so I don't know if I'd have watched it. But I remember, maybe I just remember it because it was the
You
Iron Man.
probably know his face
Yeah.
Yeah.
when it came up and his voice.
No, I do know, man, because he had all his. It was weird because he'd had all his hair. It was almost like a short back and sides, and it was like because it was so different, and you were like, you're just looking at it going, is that Doctor Who or not? Yeah, I remember now. But yeah, I don't know if anyone else remembers any other.
No, George's Marvellous Medicine is the only one that really stands out for me.
Jackanory. But yeah, BBC did try to educate, and sometimes they got round it with Jackanory and having cool people do it. Other times we caught on to what they were trying to do, and we ran the other way.
Yeah.
Johnny Bull.
I didn't mind Johnny Ball.
Oh, I like him. Got nothing against the fella. Is he still alive?
Yeah,
Got nothing against
his
the fella.
his daughter's annoying,
Yes. 100% annoying. But
but he was
I just
alright.
wasn't. I didn't want to be taught maths
Okay.
when I got home from school, especially maths.
And he was like,
Especially in your time off away from school.
Exactly.
He was a stand-up comedian who they just said, like, do you want to do a maths program or something, wasn't he? He wasn't like
Yeah, I don't think he's not like a maths genius.
Yeah,
so
he's
not
not
like
a
Tommy
Voldemort
Seagull or
a-
whatever his name is.
yeah,
Is that his name? Tommy Seagull.
Bobby Seagull.
Bobby Seagull.
And Monkman and Seagull. Yeah, he wasn't a Vorderman or a Riley or anything like that.
No.
He was just, but he
Yeah,
got
why didn't
good.
I go there first? Why didn't I go Riley first? No, I went Seagull.
But also, I did like the art education of Heartbeat,
Yep.
the proper Heartbeat, not the Nick Berry one.
No.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah. No, two different ones.
And Mr. Bennett, who was the strange man in it,
Yeah.
who would just. I don't know what his purpose was.
No,
but
he just
did a-
random. He wasn't. It
was
wasn't
the
you always
caretaker.
every episode, was
yeah.
it?
He was
But-
the caretaker.
Yeah, And then I just remember being really excited when he's in the Yellow Pages advert looking for an R186 signal box. And I was
That's
like,
right,
that's
yeah.
Mr. Bennett from Heartbeat. And no one cared.
No.
And that became kind of the rest of my life.
So did Heartbeat give us Morph as
Yes.
well then?
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, I'm not a fan of. Wasn't a
I
fan
didn't
of
like
Morph.
Morph.
You're welcome, Wallace and Gromit.
But I did like. Yeah. Being taught how to draw was cool. I like that.
Never put any.
And was that the one with the gallery?
Yeah.
With the music?
Never put any of my pictures out, the bastards.
No.
Thinking back now, I don't even know if they ever really were sent. I was told they were. Just sitting there every day and on it yet.
They're still in the loft probably, or went straight in the bin.
Damn you, Ant from Newcastle. Why are your pictures always up? But yeah. Oh, Heartbeat. Tony Hart. That is an icon. Who was married?
I know. Who knew?
I'll have to. I'll be honest. I'll be surprised.
Yeah.
He kind of looked like Fred from Scooby Doo, but 80.
I was going to say, yeah, they didn't exactly look
Yeah.
like
Nice
Fred.
little
No, but
cravat.
He had like a
Yeah.
cravat on, open thing. Yeah, hung around with
And
a
to be
caretaker.
fair, when Operation U-Tree was going on, we all thought that name might pop up, but it didn't.
No,
God
bless
he
him.
kept himself in his art studio, away from the sin.
And
Good
another
man.
safe presenter,
Yeah,
comedian,
because there are other things we did want to cover, but we can't anymore. But
and also a magician.
You're going to go for Wizbit, aren't you?
I was, yeah.
Yeah.
One
no,
of those.
don't do it. Don't
What?
do it.
Don't-
No one do it.
What, the theme
Theme
tune?
tune. Don't do it.
Ha ha, that's the way. Ha ha, that's the way.
hoppa this
this
away,
away,
my oh
my.
my. Hoppa this away, hoppa. Oh, I'm doing the moves. Ooh.
I apologise to listeners if you've now going to have that stuck in your head for the next 12 hours.
I've got another one in a minute. What about that? And it's the best one ever. But remind me of
But
that in a minute.
What
But
was Wizbit all about?
Wizbit was Paul Daniels taking acid and getting totally off his tits and chucking in weird stories in between that were cool. Because the whole Wizbit adventure, my favourite episode of Wizbit, and if you can find it on YouTube, send me the link.
Brett's actually getting excited.
Yes.
No, because Wizbit was just an acid trip with a little yellow kind of. Was he a wizard's hat? I don't know what he was.
I
but
thought he
bounced
was.
around-
I thought that was the whole point. Hence why Paul
Yeah.
Daniels was doing
the
the
host.
voiceover.
yeah. And then
Or
there
And
was
he's doing magic as
and
well.
Woolly Rabbit, and also had that creepy mind bloke that used to be in kids programs all the time, like
Yeah.
Jigsaw and that.
Yeah.
He was in it, and but they had some weird thing where like Wizbit had to like take the magic pills to someone else and get 20 quid or whatever it was. I don't know what was going on, but then they'd have like these weird side stories, and one of them was about the I forgot the bloody name now. The famous clown who he
Pennywise.
no, and he took his makeup off. Well, he didn't have his makeup on. He went to he moved to Paris, and he was like this famous clown. Everyone loved him. Oh, I forgot, it's a really famous name.
Bongo.
I think it's like a
It's easy
Par-
for you to say.
It doesn't matter.
It's a French thing, anyway, but it's really famous.
Jean-Claude is the clown.
No.
Gerard Depardieu.
Para something.
Power
anyway.
Rangers.
Paradicat, shut up. Anyway, the whole point was like, the doctor, and he went.
Papillon.
He took his. It was similar to that, and he took all his stuff off, and he went to the doctor. Said, "Look, doctor, I'm really depressed. Not ever,
This is Wizbit. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
this is
haven't
Wizbit.
moved
Yeah,
on
no,
from
that's what I
something.
mean. And he's going, "No, I'm really depressed," and that. And the doctor was like, "Well, you're in luck. Paraguay, the clown's here this week, and you can go and see him, and that'll cheer you up. He's the amazing clown." And he was like, "Okay, thanks, doctor." And they went, "Oh," and I think that's the one you see, like in all the A1 catalogues, you see the clown crying and all that.
Yeah.
That's where all that comes from. But I was like,
I thought you were going to say, and then Wizbit gave him the magic pills.
No, it was just like a side story in the middle. You'd get all these little like folktale things in the middle of Wizbit that were really kind of interesting, but a bit weird. And then it would go back to Wizbit like off his nuts on speed running around again or something.
It's like a castle, wasn't there, or something?
Yeah, it was a castle. I'm trying to remember who there was a black lady. She was like the gatekeeper of the castle. She was someone famous as well, but I can't think who it is now. I don't think it was Moira Stewart, but it was
Luella
another
Benjamin.
one.
Anyway,
Yeah,
Whilst
Wizbit, but yeah,
Brett
but
has a stroke. Let's.
but it was true, and it's never been released on anything.
I don't think it was true. There were people dressed up.
Yeah.
It wasn't true.
Not real, Brett. Move on.
Let's move on to Jossie's Giants. We all love Jossie's Giants.
Football's just a
Well,
branch
you
of
say that.
science.
See, I was still slightly annoyed as well by the taking over at this point by northern people. They just seemed everywhere at this point. They did.
Pagliacci, the clown. Sorry.
Right, thanks for that. So you didn't like Jossie's Giants?
No.
I love Jossie's
I
Giants.
like. I mean that there's a moment when they're like
Jossie's
1-0 down, 2-0 down,
Yeah.
and you're not allowed to give team talks during a match. So the kid goes down with an injury, and then all the
Yeah, it all go right
they all
down.
crowd round him, and then the manager comes on and he's like pretending to give him physio, but he's giving him all directions.
And Alan Bradley's daughter from Corrie.
Yeah. It's just a great show.
The
I
the
can't believe you
glitz
didn't
in-
like Jossie's Giants.
I
I
told you.
wasn't even into football back then. I didn't follow football.
The-
It
the
but I
just
still
wound,
like
just
Jossie's
wound me
Giants.
up because they're from up north.
The
and everything
Glipton
seemed
Grasshoppers.
to be people from
and
up
then they
north.
became the Glipton Giants.
Because I was always thinking, I'd love to be an actor. Oh, but I can't because I don't have a northern accent.
And you had the...
But then you can be an actor, so you could.
Yeah, well, I was a kid. I didn't know
Because back
this
then
at
you
the
could. You
time.
can't do it now. If you're gonna play someone northern, you have to be northern.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's otherwise you get cancelled and whatnot.
And
But-
I always remember because the really, I think it was like the rich kid star player who had like the sort of perm. His dad was like a kind of job in British acting. He was one of the guards in Scum. And he's been in other things over the years, but he was always just like a prison officer or a guard or something. He's been in lots of cool stuff, but not ever the main one. But this was his chance. He had a speaker, and he was the sponsor. He sponsored Jossie's Giants. I can't remember what his business was. That just came back into my head. And his son was like the long egg key hoddle waddle, Chris Waddle haircut,
Yeah.
of the time. And that, but it's just come out on DVD now, but they want an extortionate price for it, and it's just like, no.
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 But
No, I mean I loved it, but I wouldn't want to. I don't think I'd watch it now.
I'd like to watch it again just to see.
Of course you would.
No, but I'd love to see just how you can't play, you're a girl, or just something like that, you
Yeah.
know.
I know there wasn't there? That rings a bell to me.
Yeah, no, there was because they went
Oh.
there and played because she ended up being she got to
Yeah.
carry the bucket, so she was the team bucket girl, which is something totally different.
Yeah, that
nowadays.
doesn't sound
I
right.
was going to say, yeah.
Let's move on quickly.
She was really popular.
And anyway, she grew up to become Alan Bradley's daughter in Coronation Street.
Yeah. I
Okay.
know exactly who you mean.
So another part of the BBC, as we mentioned, not just for entertainment but to educate. They try to do both with look and read.
Look and read.
This was amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Look and read. I have nothing but fond memories of the look and reads I got to look at.
And again, it was one of those weird
And
ones
read.
as well, where you had,
I've never done the reading bit. You ain't quite. I'll watch it. I'm not reading.
you had, was it Wordy,
Yeah.
Yep.
which was like this little figure with arms, no legs.
Yeah, just like a
Like a
floating
question
around.
marky thing. on him,
bucket
was
with
it?
arms.
It's like
punctuation.
a bit like Orko.
But
Yeah.
he would have been before Orko.
Yeah,
but
no,
you're
but
right.
that's what I mean, yeah. And so you'd have all the things like Magic E and all that kind of good stuff. But every now and again, obviously they'd have,
There's a lot of that in Wizbit as well.
but they'd have like a serious bit of drama in it as
Yeah.
well.
You had Dark Towers.
Yeah.
Amazing. Derek Griffiths done all the music.
Yeah.
Fairground.
Well, at that point, Derek
Fairground.
Griffiths did pretty much
Everything.
every
Yeah.
bit of music.
Derek
going.
Griffiths deserves a knighthood for
Yep.
his service to the children of this country, and he's one person I would like to shake. He's forgotten about a lot. I think he does a lot of like shows in London and stuff now.
Funnily enough, it must be in the last couple of years because I've been working from home. But he did pop up in an episode of Doctors
Good.
Oh,
Still
in
going.
recent memory.
the budget they must have blown to get him in.
Yeah, he was a painter and decorator with a heart condition.
He deserves like some sort of knighthood, or at least a wing of the BBC studios named after him
Yeah.
or something. But
I
yeah,
mean, he's got nothing to do with Southampton, but maybe we should try and get St Mary's to name a stand after him.
we'll just say he went there once.
Yeah.
It's good enough for us.
Yeah, we'll
We're
take
still,
it.
We're still claiming the Titanic, and he
Yeah.
left it. But Dark Towers, which was really cool.
Yep, Fairground.
Um,
What was the space one?
Fairground, A Boy from
Boy from
Space,
Oh, yeah.
Badger Girl.
Badger Girl, yeah.
Yeah, she was the one that ended up. We talked about it the other day. She ended
Yeah.
up in Running Scared.
Yep.
which used Kate Bush's song before anything else. Yeah, Fairground was a weird one. Boy from Space was freaked me out.
Yep.
I've got that on DVD now, and it is still
Bet
just
you have.
weird now. But what's cool about that one is on the DVD you've got the
bloopers.
no, what do you call it? No, what do you call it? You got like the PDF of the workbook you would have got at school.
Oh yeah.
Thank
And
God you
it's
said
got all the-
PDF. I
Yeah,
thought you were going to
yeah.
go down a different
I was
road
worried
there.
then for a minute. U-Tree all over again.
Yeah.
But it's got all the stuff and all the resources you would have got, as a school
Yeah.
you would have got it. But I haven't used that yet because I don't know if it would freak the kids out. No, it'd just be interesting to see how it would work nowadays.
Yeah.
But the only problem with it's only the film, the wordy bits
Have gone.
have
Right.
gone.
Yeah,
So I don't know if they were owned. Like I don't know if someone filmed the story
Mm.
and then BBC put the wordy bits in. I think that's obviously probably what happened.
Yeah, I know what you
Do
mean.
get
Yeah,
what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
yeah.
like two different production companies like chopped together. So you've got all the books and the film, but you haven't got the wordy bits, all the songs. But Fairground was another one. That was probably my favourite one actually. Dark Towers was good though, because Christopher Biggins is in
It
Dark
was in
Towers,
Dark
wasn't he?
Towers. Yeah.
And Peter Mayhew, I think, was the knight Chewbacca. I
Yes,
think
he
he was
was.
the knight. But Look and Read, yeah, that actually did engage children in reading and learning because they made stories they were interested in. It
And you
didn't-
got to
didn't
watch it at
talk
school.
down on-
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
I don't
Yeah.
know if, well, obviously we didn't all go to the same primary school, but the TV was wheeled in
Yep.
to a particular
We
classroom.
had a
Oh, was
TV. We had a TV room.
You had a TV room, my
Room.
No,
God.
I was an AVA monitor, so it was my job to bring in said
What the
apparatus.
hell is an AVA monitor?
Audio visual aid monitor.
Seriously, have you just made that up
No.
today?
No. So at the start of
Look, in
assembly.
hindsight, I was an AVA monitor.
No, so at the start of assembly. No, because it was cool because you managed to get out of lessons. So before assemblies, you'd go in and get the tape deck set up and put in the tape. And when the headmaster or mistress came in, they'd
I
give you
don't
the
know.
nod.
I shouldn't be surprised about this, really, should I?
I'm not.
The chess
surprised
club.
we I'm surprised we haven't heard about it earlier.
Yeah.
Wait, you managed to leave the classroom whenever you want. You used to get out of lessons. It's like being in the choir. Christmas coming up.
Stop trying to make it sound cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you used to, get to deal
What
with
did you do with
hardware.
that free time? Did you run off and buy cigarettes?
No,
No,
you,
when you watched the
you
video.
had to prep. You had to prep the hardware, didn't you?
Sometimes you could go to the loo before you did it.
You left the classroom to prep your hardware.
That's right. And got me into IT. Yeah. It didn't.
Was that on your CV? When you were like...
I was an AVA monitor.
Oh dear.
Class of 88 AVA monitor. Or
I'm
whatever.
sure there was at Heathfield. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember
What
watching
I like
Look and
is
Read
you
at
both went
Heathfield.
to the same school and you have no memory of there being
No,
an
no,
AVA
'cause
monitor.
Look and Read was primary school. It wasn't.
Oh, maybe that was. Yeah.
That's why I've got. That's why I'm not on his wavelength.
I'm just saying, no, but he was in it and you were
Well,
there.
yeah,
But you
I-
don't even remember that being a job, let alone he had it.
I started early in primary school, wheeling in the
Wait
the,
a minute,
the,
wait
the
a minute.
TV with the video.
Wait. Did you make your own badge?
we didn't have badges. We were more undercover.
You had a wallet. Nah, it's good. Yeah, but Look and Read was, fond memories of that. And again, something they should still be making now.
Well, to be fair, I think it did run until the early 90s or mid to late 90s.
I bet they got lame.
It probably wasn't necessarily the same format.
The
but
cow who needed a field.
And not only that, but with the curriculum changing all the time, they probably just couldn't keep up.
yeah, that's true.
Even I still can't get my head around phonics, if I'm honest.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah,
Anyway,
the teacher can't say anything in this conversation. Can't join in.
Anyway,
What are phonics?
thanks, Brett.
That's one.
So, as I can edit Word, that's the end of my list.
I was going to say as well, one thing that the BBC was going to showing kids was educating us about other cultures around the world.
Well, we've already mentioned Cities of Gold.
No, but I was just wondering, like, if you ever...
Ever
Ever
felt like this?
There you go.
Round the Twist was, again, one of the weirdest, messed up programs, but really enjoyable to watch.
Because again, it didn't talk down. It was a bit. It was just weird,
Yeah.
but not for weird sake.
Well, really?
Well, no, it just had. Yeah, there was just some. I don't know.
It was a bit weird.
Whoever wrote those books, I think, may have bumped into Keith Chegwin at some point or been to visit Wizbit. But there was definitely, but it was good. It was a kid. I mean, the only thing I didn't like about it watching it back, and I don't know if I remember it as a kid or not, but like every couple of series, all the kids changed because obviously in Australia there's a few years in between them when they obviously got older.
Yeah.
So you start to watch it again, you're like, that's not them. But like that was a good one, and I think they're all on Amazon now because I did manage to get series 1 into a scheme of work for creative writing.
Well done.
Keeping it real.
Oh yes. And then they were like, but skip the song because it gets stuck in our heads.
Welcome to my world,
Yeah.
kids. And now we're going to watch Dog Tanyan.
Another one I got into a scheme of work, and I'm still doing it. And this was a bit later, and this is sort of about 89. Moondial.
Yeah. That's another one of those where I think the memory is probably better than it actually was, and it scared me. But I don't know if that's just.
It was a bit freaky.
Yeah.
It wasn't, and it was a bit open-ended as well. They didn't really, which again, for a kids show, they didn't over-explain it. They left you to work it out. It was the cave in Empire Strikes Back. It's what you take it with you. So they left things there, and depending on how messed up you were, was how scary it was. And I think again that was what I liked about it, and it still stands up, and like the kids today love it still.
Yeah.
I'll do it all, then they can write their bit and where they went when they went on the Moondial back in time, and most of them happen to always be where it went in the TV show. But,
But every now and again, one would go find a clown.
Cloud or something. Yeah. Just be happy. Make it happy. So, yeah, that was a good one. And I've got one last one. I don't know if anyone's got a last one.
No, you crack on.
My last one, which I think is, again, a staple of probably the last great BBC kids show, and the return of it recently, The Demon Headmaster.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
that
past my
was past my
time,
time.
but I'm aware of it.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
makes
I
sense.
went back because I'd always liked the books, and when they made it into a show, although by season 3 it got a little bit silly in my opinion, but they followed the books, so you can't moan. That was really good. And then what made it was a couple of years ago they did the revival of it, which at the beginning, when you watch it, and this was the genius of it, when you're watching it, you're like, oh, they've remade it, and they've all got mobile phones and all this bit like that. But then halfway through, you suddenly realise that it wasn't a remake; it was a continuation.
The Queen's Nose or something. Was
No,
that something
that was
different?
another show. That was
Oh,
when it was a 50p, and if you rubbed it, you got
Yeah.
wishes or something.
I thought that was something to do with the same thing.
Nah, not
Okay,
well.
I'll
Might be
shut
the same. Might have been the same book writer, so I don't know.
Right.
But they because you thought, oh, they've remade a Demon Headmaster. It's not as good as the original. But there's a bit in the middle where suddenly like he was at school before, and then and you see the thing. And it's all the people from like the series 10 years before, and they even got some of the people back. And at the end, the old headmaster from the original series comes back in, and it's like he's been controlling this headmaster. And it all kind of, for a kids show, you're like, this is some in-depth writing. This is good. It was amazing. And it was just like, but obviously I was the only one when we watched this, I was the only one that popped because I knew the original bit. I was like, oh my God. But all the kids just looking. But yeah, great show. Again, didn't talk down to the kids. Left it up there. A bit political as well. The one a couple of years ago about trusting the government and are they doing what they say and all that sort of thing. It was quite relevant for the times. But so it is still there at the BBC. We just need to see a bit more of it. Don't talk down to your audience.
And we never do that to our audience.
No, we
So-
don't.
We don't.
So that has been our look at the BBC with a focus and a spotlight, particularly on the kids' programmes. But before we started to do these 2 episodes, we'd each take a film
Take a film.
where
Pick
the
a
other
number.
where the other 2 would then have to watch for the following week, and then we'd critique it and go through the storyline, hence the spotlight. So this week, the person in charge of nominating the film is Mr. Summers.
Sounds like you talk down to me, but it's all right. You've gone Jackanory.
I'm just remembering all the bits to this because we also have the option to veto a film.
We do.
We haven't done that yet.
No, we haven't.
Shame. I wish
That's
I
'cause
had
we're
vetoed
hardcore.
some of the films in the past.
Yeah,
So
in hindsight,
we do have the option to veto, but Mr. Summers, what's the film that we're going to put the spotlight on?
I
for next
am taking us a slightly different path this week.
ooh,
We're going to go into the foreign film market. Ooh, look at the faces, the anticipation.
No, well, I wouldn't call it anticipation
I
or
would.
dread.
I'm going to introduce you, if you haven't seen it already, to the world of Shaolin soccer.
oh, I've seen that
I don't think I've seen it.
in a hazy
Yeah.
late
Stephen
90s.
Stephen Chow's classic that was, I still think, was better than the one he done after that everyone loves. What was the one he done after?
I don't know.
Kung Fu Ball.
Oh, it was what was it? Was it Kung Fury?
Kung Fu baseball or something.
Kung Fu's Ball.
Nah, and he's basically like
Just
a
Still a fight round a football
no,
table.
But they're all crap because they can't actually move.
Kung Fu hustle.
Okay, yeah,
Oh,
no,
sorry,
I'm still
Brent's
none the
still
wiser.
Yeah, so if you want to join in at home, we'll be doing Shaolin Soccer, which in the UK is currently available for free on ITVX.
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 But you can get it on
Other streaming
other
services.
streaming services, yes.
Or DVD.
Or DVD.
Okay, cool. So we've got our homework for this week. I'm not going to veto it just because it sounds
No,
a
I'm
bit
not,
different.
because that's actually quite funny. It's funny to watch. It is good. This is a good crack.
Okay, so it falls upon me then to wind up today's show. This has been the Cult Faction Podcast, episode 80, if you can
80.
believe it. God, well, soon we're going to be in the DVD bargain bin with all of our previous shows if we had them on DVD. So please don't forget to review and rate us on the podcast service or streaming service that you're listening to us
Like
on
Apple
right
Podcasts,
now.
Spotify, all those sort of things, yeah.
Preferably Apple, apparently, because that gets us.
Seems to be the one that counts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's where the big boys play.
And don't forget that if you're interested in any of the shows that we've been talking about, chances are there's a review or some info on our mothership, which is
cultfaction.com.
Come.
if you do have any questions, anything you want us to cover, maybe some suggestions for a film to watch, if you disagree with some of the stuff that we said, which, yeah, let's face it, is pretty unlikely this week because, most of the stuff we disagree with each other on, then you can reach out to us on the old-fashioned email, which is...
cultfashionpodcast@mail.com.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
So, I have been Paul Hawkins. Thanks for listening. And as ever, I have been joined by...
Have you ever been joined by Brett Summers?
I don't want to say yes because that sounds a bit weird.
Yeah, it just sounds wrong,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
I'm just putting it back in your heads.
Yeah, no thanks.
Damien Hicks. That's goodbye from me.
It is.
Yeah, I don't know why we're doing what I did the other week, which is going back around the table. It doesn't really work.
Yeah, still goodbye.
Don't have nightmares.
How far this away? How far that away?
Oh my.
Ever felt like this? Have strange things happen? Are you going round a twist? Have you ever felt like this? Have strange things happen? Are you going round a twist? Well, have you heard the word about the bird and the spider? It wiggled and wriggled and jiggled inside it. Well, have you ever felt like this? Have strange things happen? Are you going round a twist? Have you ever felt like this?
Superman.
Hang on, how much have you got?
No, we'll just keep it quick.
You say that every week,
No, keep it quick.
and then you give a synopsis, plot, and ending of a film.
I'll keep it quick. You are such a twat, Summers. Can I move the microphone, George? Promise to talk into it. Gave the monkey a microphone.
And didn't that guy end up being a nonce?
We all rush one out every now and again.
Knowledge of the song, that's the whole point about conversations. We can have a debate. We don't need Google.
On me that it doesn't really matter because the moment we start recording, your voice volume will go up about 2 or 3 decibels. Exactly. So
This is the Cult Faction Podcast.
I might as well actually do it.
I'm now deaf.
Right.
Horns.
Are you going to do this on the podcast? Because if you're doing this on the podcast, I'm stopping recording now.
Well, no, I was just going through now what's on it.
Oh,
Because
sorry,
I thought we
So have I,
went.
to be fair.
I thought we went down. I thought we were going straight into like BBC.
I'd rather we did. Just
What?
What?
No, I wasn't listening to him. what are we doing?
Fuck you.
So I have to zone out. Yeah. Before TV chefs took over the world and pointless game shows battled it. Oh, fuck off.